We are in the midst of a national discussion on policing reform and how our brothers and sisters in the Black community have been disproportionately affected by law enforcement over the years. The George Floyd case has obviously catapulted that conversation to the forefront, and Minneapolis has been ground zero for this discussion. Friend of our show, artist Trevor "The Riff" Donnelly, lived in Minneapolis for many years and physically was there at these protests recently, and he is back in Los Angeles and joining us now. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Glad to be back in LA. It's crazy that this is spread nationwide, and coming back from a war zone back into another war zone is it's kind of crazy, man.
I bet. Okay, so, you basically launched your music career in Minneapolis years ago. You spent many years there. People in Minneapolis know you because of your music. And I wonder, while you were living there, what was your interaction with the Minneapolis Police Department? What was your experience there?
My experience, it was off and on. I've had some good experiences, bad experiences, but I started to notice a pattern of repetitious behavior just because I kept getting small citations for the smallest things, for tint on my window, for a taillight being out. It just felt like I was being targeted, or I would get pulled out of my car, no questions. My car would get searched with no reasoning, just small stuff like that. Or I'd be handcuffed, or I'd be asked to, roll down on my windows, put my hands through the steering wheel. And even with that being asked of me, I'd still be pulled out of the car, cuffed, put on the hood or in the tree lawn, sometimes thrown into the tree lawn, all over a small traffic violation or traffic infraction. I've never had any crazy convictions or felonies. I'm not like that type of person. Mm-hmm. It's just, but that's always been my experience. It's always been something extra. It's never really been like a simple pullover and then I get a ticket and then I continue going on my way. It would always be something extra with the stop. And I just thought that was out of the ordinary.
And I think you also have a very interesting perspective because you're also a military vet. So you understand, how law enforcement works. You understand because of your service in the military, and obviously thank you for your service, as we always tell you. But but as a retired military, as a veteran of the military, how do you justify that in your head?
Well, a part of me tries to take like the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, during military training, when we did sweeps, when we did drills, it's always that thing in the back of your head, like, okay, I have to be ready to act. I have to be ready because I don't know if this individual means harm to me or not. But even with my military background, I still feel like we've had more common sense or more training to understand when somebody is meaning you harm, or your fight or flight senses kick in, or you always get that spider sense knowing, okay, I'm not getting a good feeling in this situation. Let me proceed with caution. So when the police react the same way, I know what they're looking for. Like, okay, as long as my hands are visible, my windows are down, my lights are on in my car, they can see before they even approach the vehicle that I'm not a threat at all. So taking my training and thinking about the police, there's been a disconnect there, and I don't understand where the lack of training is coming from or the lack of judgment. But we've been seeing a lot of poor judgment lately on car stops and just things that can end with simple conversations and de-escalated situations that are getting escalated too fast. And as a military personnel, like, our job is to de-escalate before we do anything. Escalation is always a last resort, to any situation. Right. So I just found that kind of odd, and I couldn't understand why that wasn't adding up when approaching half of these officers or getting approached by half of these officers. So.
This, and because of that, I mean, you felt it necessary when this all happened with George Floyd. You went to Minneapolis to be there. Why was that so important to you?
It just happened so fast, and I was actually living in St. Paul when Philando Castile got shot. And at the time I was living in St. Paul, it happened in the summer, and I was living not even 7 minutes away from where he was killed. And there was crazy police and protests at the time that I was living there. And then fast forward, I'm in LA and I see the same thing happen again to Southside Minnesota or Minneapolis. And then seeing our mayor get on CNN trying to defend himself, and then having Donald Trump say those, hurtful words to him, it almost felt like we didn't have any support. And it almost felt like, well, I feel like it's my calling. Like, if everybody knows I'm from there, I felt like it was my calling to act as a Jay-Z or as a Meek Mill, to come to the aid of my city. So when I saw Mayor Frey and I saw the George Floyd's family, and I seen Jamie Foxx and Nick Cannon come up to the town to help and speak on our behalf of our city to give us support, I felt pretty upset that I didn't really see any other of my local artist friends coming to say something or stepping out. So I was like, you know what? I can't sit here and be quiet. I got to go back and support my city, man. So I felt compelled to just go out there and do something. And I'm not a politician. I'm not a full-time activist, but I know that I have a voice and I have a platform, and I'm an artist. So the least I can do is at least use my platform to spread awareness on this issue that started in my hometown.
Yeah.
So,
and you did that with a new song.
Yeah, it's called Can You Hear Us Now? I recorded it maybe not even 48 hours after George Floyd passed away. I wasn't even really expecting to go up there and do the video. It just was kind of something that kind of happened when I was up there. I kind of had some friends that were directors, and they were going out getting footage like a day or two before I got up there. And it just everything kind of came last minute. And the idea hit me when I saw Mayor Frey on CNN, and seeing how frustrated he was, and seeing that there was people supporting him and people not so much supporting him. That's got to be a tough position to be in, especially with George Floyd's family. There weren't any arrests at the time, and everything was still in the air. So it was just almost like everything was still already on this process of getting swept under the rug. So I was like, no. Hit the pause brakes, hit the brakes. I have to do something. We have to say something. I have to say something. I don't care if people get mad at me. Like, my dad's white, my mom's black. Like, I grew up in the best and worst of both worlds. I felt the need to say something. It's like, I feel like the liaison between black and white people sometimes, because I am both, and I feel like as both, it's my prerogative to mesh the two worlds together to get people to understand from both sides of the spectrum.
So that said, you bring up your mom and dad, and I know you have beautiful children. Your children are beautiful. I wonder what you say to them about all this.
If my mom was still alive, I'm sure she would just agree with everything that's happening. She would just be very supportive. And she could vouch for half of the police brutality incidents me and my brother have been involved in over the years, because, my mom was always the first one to hear about when we got home, or she would get a call from the police station or whatever was going on, So a difficult thing for me recently is me and my brother actually speaking to my father, because he is a white man, but my dad has not experienced any of these things, nor has he really seen it firsthand. But he's always heard about it from my mother, heard about it from me and my brother growing up, but he's never really fully experienced it himself. So it took us kind of talking to him this past week and sharing stories and experiences with him to for him to fully understand and grasp the deeper picture of what's really going on. So now my dad finally understands, but it was hard. It was hard explaining it to him, because he just didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, and I was almost kind of like, Dad, like, dude, you have 2 mixed kids and you were married to my mom for like 30 years. Like, how do you not know, But,
Right.
Some people, they have different perspectives and different looks and views on things. And my dad being one of them, just explaining a lot of stuff to him. I'm just glad he understands now. And I'm glad that he can see that other people are hurting from this, not only black people, but white people and just all colors and walks of life. People are hurting from this. It's too much death. It's too much questions, it's too much stuff happening. And it's just like, a lot of people are like, okay, when is this going to end?
I'm wondering, do you think, or do you feel, or do you get a sense that this time is going to make some change?
I think this is, since we're seeing it on a national basis and we're seeing it over in Australia, Germany, New Zealand,
Everywhere.
This has become a global pandemic in itself, outside of the coronavirus, because you got to think about it. Like, it's 2020 and people are tired. People are tired of seeing racism still continue. prejudice still continue, whether it's your sexual preference, your skin color, whatever it may be. People are just getting tired of the segregations and the differences being a hit or miss on why we connect with one another or not. And I think we're starting to see all of that frustration come to a head because people are tired of believing in a system that has been failing them, or one that they're losing confidence in. And you can clearly see that confidence being lost by people's reactions in public, whether it's rioting at night or peaceful protests during the day. The point is, people are outside, people are being active, and I don't see it letting up anytime soon until there's a change. Now people are actually starting to pull the funding from the police departments in Minnesota. People are starting to organize more protests, organize more organizations. We have more notoriety figures coming up to the city to speak publicly to not only other politicians, but other activists and people outside. There's people actually doing something this time instead of screaming and yelling outside, and then people forget about it a week later and it goes back to normal. So I think we're definitely seeing a change happening. It's just we're seeing it over a course of days, because obviously nothing's going to happen overnight. It takes time to pass laws. It takes time to pass things. So I feel like people are continuing to stay outside as a insurance package to make sure things actually are getting talked about and passed behind the scenes. So I definitely think we're seeing some type of form of change. Yeah.
Well, Trevor, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you for your time. It's always Trevor, the Riff Donnelly, his song, Can You Hear Us Now, is available and out, correct?
Yeah, it's on all platforms. It's on YouTube. It's on my Instagram page. You can find it. It's a good message in there. I feel like it needs to get out. The world needs to hear it. People need to hear what's happening, not only in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but obviously the whole world knows what's going on. But it's just another platform we need to drive some traffic to MN Freedom Fund, which is also helping people get bailed out of jail if they get locked up due to protests. They've actually stopped accepting money. So if people go and decide to find the video, if you go to MN Freedom Fund, there's 10 other organizations on the website that still need our help, like Northside Minneapolis. They're still trying to rebuild their community after some of the buildings burned down. And that's also a low-income neighborhood. So there's still some parts of Minneapolis that still need our attention. And I'm hoping that song brings awareness to raise funding for the places that still need our help.
Well, you're doing great work, and I appreciate your time today and your expertise and your perspective on this particular topic. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
Peace.